The ruling All Progressive Congress APC, main opposition People's Democratic Party PDP, and the Labour Party LP are having a handful in the composition of their Presidential Campaign Council. According to the timeline of the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC, parties are free to begin campaigns for the February 25, 2023 presidential poll on September 28, 2022. Currently, none of the parties has announced a comprehensive campaign council. The APC and PDP have, however, announced skeletal teams, with APC leaders telling Vanguard yesterday that the full team will be announced next week. Dr. L0ßß, spokesman of the LP, told Vanguard that presidential candidate of the LP, Mr. PDP, and some top leaders are out of the country. When they return, the issue will be sorted out, he said. Barring further adjustments, the Presidential Campaign Council of the APC will be ready next week, ahead of the September 28 official kickoff date for the presidential campaigns, a top party leader told Vanguard at the weekend. The team is almost ready. We are taking our time to accommodate all interest in the party and in the country at large. We don't want to take anything for granted. The council will be ready in time before the commencement of the presidential campaigns on September 28, the APC leader disclosed. Recently, APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the party hierarchy announced Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong as Director General of the campaign, and former Edo State Governor and APC National Chairman Comrade Adams Oshomole as Deputy Director General. Other members named so far include Minister of State, Labor and Employment, Mr. Festus Keyamo, campaign spokesman, Mr. Dele Alake, Director Strategic Communication, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, Director of Media and Publicity, Lanre Issa Onilu, Deputy Director of Communication Strategy, Hanatu Masawa, Deputy Director of Public Affairs, Kehinde Bamigbetan, Deputy Director of Media Relations, Modibo Kawu, Deputy Director of Publicity, Mohammed Bulama, in charge of media, and Sheun Olufemi White, Deputy Director, New Media, among others. Party sources said issues raised by the Tinubu-Shettima Muslim presidential ticket were yet to die down. While making effort to carry everybody along, while reaching out to presidential aspirants and stakeholders across the country, especially the Southeast, we'll do serious campaigns in the Southeast, one of the sources said. Indeed, the APC is yet to get all her presidential aspirants on the same page. Of the 22 men and 1 woman who sought the APC ticket last June, no fewer than 10 have declared their unalloyed support for Tinubu. They include Senator Godswill Akpabio, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Mr. Dimeji Bankole, Governor Mohammed Bandara of Jigawa, Senator Ahmed Sani, Senator Ajayi Borofi, Senate President Ahmad Lawan, and Mrs. Uju Ohanaye. Apart from Lawan, the other 8 stepped down for Tinubu at the presidential primaries. Governor Dave Umahi last week said he wished his party would win the presidential poll amid the waves being made by Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party in the Southeast. Since the APC presidential primaries, most of the other aspirants have been reticent. One of the aspirants, Mr. Nicholas Felix, who stepped down for Vice President Yemi Osibanjo at the primaries, tried to summon a meeting of the aspirants penultimate week but cancelled it when it became obvious many of them would not attend. Other aspirants are Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, Senator Rochas Okorocha, Chief Ikiobasi Mokelu, Chief Emeka Uwanjaba, who was absent at the primaries, Chief Rotimi Amechi, Pastor Tunde Bakare, Dr. Ogbonaya Onu, Governor Ben Ayade, Senator Ken Unamani, and Mr. Tien Jack Rich. In the PDP, the frosty relationship between its presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Governor Nyesom Wike is stalling the announcement of its campaign council. Vanguard gathered that Atiku and the PDP are at crossroads over their inability to accommodate Wike and his team in the campaign council. A former member of the National Working Committee, NWC, who spoke under anonymity, told Vanguard that the PDP candidates and the party are waiting for who would bail the cat. The source said, "We're at a standstill now because Wike will not agree with Atiku camp. We do not know the next step Wike will take. In the southwest, Governor Seyi Makinde is solidly behind Wike, but the question now is who will bail the cat behind Atiku and the PDP? While the PDP will go ahead nominating members of the council, Wike is holding on his next line of action. For now, we are at a standstill and we want to see who will bail the cat." The day Atiku announces member of the campaign council, crisis will erupt because we know they will shut out Wike and his men. What will happen, for instance, in the southwest, since we have two PDP governors that Atiku and his team may use the Osun governor-elect Senator Ademola Adeleke as their arrowhead over and above Governor Seyi Makinde? Another source spoke to Vanguard in confidence, said Wike and his team are not happy with the development in PDP. Meanwhile, fresh crisis on the emergence of Atiku Okowa presidential ticket and the role of the Wike-led camp in truncating the zoning of the presidential ticket to the southeast have emerged. Party sources said that ahead of the 2023 presidential primaries, there was a quiet plan to see the presidency to the southeast, with Peter Obi and Ayim Pius Ayim among the southeast contenders being positioned by party elders. Atiku, after his 2019 loss, it was gathered was considering passing over the 2023 campaign and was believed to be positioning Obi for support. Joining Atiku in backing Peter Obi as running mate in 2019 were Governor Kowa, Governor Godwin Obaseki, and former Senate President Bukola Saraki. According to the permutation, Saraki would have been running mate to Obi. It was based on this permutation that Senator Okowa, it was gathered, was preparing himself for a return to the Senate with a principal office in view. Backing Ayim were Governor Aminu Tambuwa and his political soulmates, former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Emeka Ehedioha, Governor Doye Diri of Bayelsa State, who was also in this camp. Tambuwa, it was gathered, would serve as Ayim's running mate that would have seen two former presiding officers of the National Assembly running on a joint ticket. The Atiku-led coalition, in a bid to strengthen Obi, had proposed that the National Secretary of the party that was zoned to the southeast would come from Anambra State. However, it was at that point that Governor Wike's camp, which was also preparing for the presidency, entered the fray and upturned the proposal and brought forward Senator Samuel Anyanwu. A source familiar with it, how it played out, said, "Remember that Peter Obi, Ihedioha, and Icheki Udenwa refused and asked that the position of secretary should go to the appropriate place mentioned, but Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi and Okezi Ikpezu refused. Of course, you know that they are the only two governors of the PDP in the southeast. Their choice will not be easy to reject," one source informed at the weekend. The Wike camp was also able to take the slot from Peter Obi because of the two sitting governors from the zone were aligned to the Rivers State governor. The move, it was gathered, was the beginning of the distress that Obi faced from his brother governors from the southeast. Initially, Atiku was said not to be enthusiastic towards running in 2023, but pressures were mounted on him through friends led by two former senators, one from the South and another from Bauchi State. A popular broadcast mogul was also in the shadows, urging Atiku to run. Besides fighting off Obi, the Wike camp also was able to preempt the governor Samuel Ortom-led committee from zoning the presidency to the southeast or northeast, as many party enthusiasts had envisaged. You can see that Ortom is part of Wike's camp, and the whole plot was to throw it open so that Wike can come in, and that was what they did exactly, the source revealed. Meanwhile, the attitude of the Southeast governors frustrated several party elders. Okowa, who hosted the Southern Governors Retreat where the resolution for a Southern presidential candidate was adopted, was also said to have become frustrated by the antics of his fellow Southern governors, especially given his own soft spot for Obi. It was about this time that Okowa now appeared to form a partnership with Atiku and dumped his Senate bid to work with Atiku for the 2023 presidency. The act of the Wike camp, it was gathered, underscored the reason none of the South governors, including Obaseki, who Wike chaired his campaign, refused to back him even when it came to the issue of vice presidential slot. Another source privy to the development said, "You would remember that initially no PDP governor was backing Atiku, but things changed when they realized that the only person who could stop Wike and Atiku, and that was why they gravitated towards him. If you don't know, there are also signs that Atiku had encouraged Obi to run, but all that changed with the attitude of Wike camp. This is why you should not blame Atiku for the zoning issue or even Okowa as having betrayed the South."